United Health is the country's largest insurer, largest physician group, and fourth largest company of any type by revenue, just behind Apple. So why are they pressuring their doctors to make patients appear to be sicker than they are? Stat Hospitals and Health Insurance reporter Tara Banow talked about the investigation uncovering troubling practices. Tara, you and a team of Stat reporters have been investigating United Health. What did you find?
Yeah, so, we know that United Health is great at getting bigger, kind of expanded from health insurance into a lot of different sectors, especially running medical groups. And what my colleagues and I really wanted to understand is now that United Health owns 1 in 10 of the country's doctors, how has this company changed the experience of being a doctor? How is it changing the experience of being a patient? And what doctors told us is that after United Health takes over these practices, it really kind of transforms them into assembly lines for driving profit back to the company. And it really does that through medical coding.
How are they connected to insurance carriers here in Massachusetts?
So United Healthcare is the second largest Medicare Advantage insurer in Massachusetts. That's according to American Medical Association data that they released earlier this year. And in 2022, United Health actually acquired Atrius Health, which at the time was the largest independent physician group in the state of Massachusetts.
Tara, for this story, you interviewed doctors who say they've been pressured to do things by United Health. How have they been pressured, and what have they been pressured to do?
So doctors told us that after United Health took over their practices, there was a lot of pressure in a number of different ways to apply more codes to their Medicare Advantage patients. And doctors told us that they didn't always agree with the codes that they were being pressured to apply to the patients. What was interesting is we heard very similar examples from Oregon to New Jersey. And one common one, for example, was peripheral vascular disease. That's a narrowing of the blood vessels that leads to reduced circulation. But doctors said they were pressured to apply that code on patients who had varicose veins, which they told us was something they never would have done previously. But it affected their bonus payments. It affected their, how they were evaluated on their job performance.
Tara, what's the story behind the panicked calls doctors are receiving from patients who are shocked when they view their online chart, which suddenly shows additional diagnoses?
Yeah, so doctors told us they would often get these frantic phone calls from patients, and they'd be wondering, why does my chart say I have chronic kidney disease or peripheral vascular disease, opioid use disorder? And, they'd be understandably really concerned because they didn't talk about that during their visit with the doctor. And the doctors would tell us, of course, this is very awkward. It's embarrassing. They've had these patients for a really long time, and they have to explain to them, no, you don't have to worry about that. Your levels are actually pretty normal for your age. But this affects how the practice gets paid, and it affects how I get paid. And doctors told us that this really kind of created almost an adversarial relationship with their patients, and patients they've had for a very long time in their practices.
This is a startling story. Stat Hospitals and Health Insurance reporter Tara Banow, thank you for joining us with it.
Thanks for having me.
For daily access to Boston Globe Today, all segments and episodes are available on demand in the Boston Globe app by clicking Watch.